Imagine a stick man surrounded by all sorts of goodies, shiny gadgets, piles of snacks, and maybe even a fancy hat. Yet despite having everything at his fingertips, he still feels a little hollow inside. It turns out, happiness isn't just about collecting stuff. Sometimes, what fills us up isn't visible at all. Let's take a closer look at what it really means to feel rich on the inside. Marcus is the richest merchant in town, and his house is packed with shiny treasures, sparkling coins, and all sorts of fancy goods. Yet despite all these riches, Marcus often feels a chilly emptiness inside, like a stick man missing his smile. While everyone admires his wealth, Marcus wonders if something important is missing from his life. Sometimes, even the fullest treasure chest can leave a person feeling hollow. Marcus's story reminds us that true warmth doesn't always come from gold and glitter. Marcus is a stick man with a round head and a suspicious squint. He spends his days counting gold coins, stacking them neatly, and locking every door he can find. Despite his impressive pile of riches, Marcus trusts no one, not even the stick man next door. His life is filled with worry, and he finds little joy in all that shiny treasure. Sometimes, even the simplest stick figures can show us that wealth isn't everything. Even with all his achievements, Marcus can't shake the feeling that something is missing. He's convinced that finding just one more treasure will fill that empty spot inside him. It's as if each shiny discovery brings him closer, but never quite close enough. Marcus's stickman heart is set on the idea that happiness is just around the next corner, waiting to be uncovered. Sometimes, chasing after just one more can be a never-ending adventure. Just as Marcus is pondering his next move, an old wanderer shuffles into view, clutching a tattered map. With a twinkle in his eye, the wanderer promises treasures beyond Marcus's wildest dreams. But there's a catch. Marcus must hand over his most precious jewel and set off on foot, leaving behind the comforts of his home. The offer is tempting, but Marcus hesitates, wondering if the map's promise is worth the price. It's a classic stickman dilemma: riches or security, adventure or comfort. Marcus, eager for riches, decides to trade his precious ruby without a second thought. With pockets lighter and hopes high, he joins the wanderer on a new adventure. However, the path ahead is far from smooth, and Marcus soon realizes that the journey is much tougher than he imagined. Even his stick legs start to wobble as obstacles pop up along the way. Sometimes, chasing treasure means facing a few unexpected bumps and bruises. As Marcus wades through the rushing river, most of his precious gold slips away, swept downstream and out of sight. He clenches his fists in frustration, his stickman face scrunched in anger. Yet, beneath the irritation, a spark of excitement flickers inside him. For the first time in years, Marcus feels truly alive, as if the loss has awakened something bold and adventurous within. Sometimes, even losing what we value can lead to unexpected feelings of freedom. In a quiet village, Marcus sits down with a family for a modest meal. The food may be simple, but the atmosphere is warm and lively. Despite having very little, the family's smiles and laughter fill the room. Marcus is struck by how happiness can thrive even in the simplest of settings. Sometimes, joy isn't about what's on the table, but who's gathered around it. As Marcus moves forward, he finds himself surrounded by fresh, unfamiliar scenery. Each evening, he pauses to admire the vibrant colors of the sunset, realizing how much he enjoys these simple moments. Along the way, he shares laughs and stories with others, discovering that happiness often comes from connecting with those around him. Even in the quiet, Marcus feels a sense of wonder, appreciating the small joys that brighten his path. After a long journey, Marcus and the wanderer finally reach a mysterious cave. Inside, instead of piles of gold or sparkling jewels, Marcus finds a single mirror. He gazes into it, expecting something magical, but sees only his own reflection, faded and empty. The treasure, it turns out, is not what he hoped for, but rather a glimpse of himself as he truly is. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries are not about riches, but about facing what's inside. The wanderer begins to share his own tale, revealing how he once lost everything he owned. Instead of despair, he discovered a new kind of wealth, one found in memorable experiences, meaningful connections, and embracing each day with curiosity. He learned that true riches aren't counted in coins or possessions, but in laughter, friendship, and the adventures that shape us. Sometimes, losing what we thought was important makes room for the things that truly matter. His story reminds us that living fully is the greatest treasure of all. Marcus soon discovers that no matter how many shiny objects he collects, they never truly satisfy his heart. Instead, he finds that sharing moments and building friendships bring him a happiness that sticks around much longer. Experiences, not possessions, become his secret ingredient for lasting joy. Through this realization, Marcus's world transforms, one cheerful stickman's smile at a time. After returning home, Marcus decides to share his treasures with the world, selling them bit by bit. With each sale, he gains not only coins, but also the freedom to travel far and wide. Along the way, Marcus collects stories, makes new friends, and discovers that adventure can be found in the simplest moments. His life becomes a patchwork of experiences, each one richer than the last. Who knew that a stickman could have such a colorful journey? Years down the road, someone asks Marcus if he's rich. With a grin, he pats his empty pockets and says, "Not in coins, but in happiness." His life is bursting with friendships, laughter, and adventures. Marcus believes that true wealth isn't measured by what you own, but by how much joy you carry. So, even with pockets as light as a stickman, Marcus feels like the richest person around. In the end, the greatest wealth isn't measured by what we can grasp or count. It's found in the moments we share, the lessons we learn, and the bonds we build. Real treasures are tucked away in our hearts, not our pockets. So, whether you're a stickman or not, remember that experiences and connections are what truly make life rich. Sometimes, the simplest things bring the most joy. Sometimes, we get caught up in collecting things. But the real treasures are the moments we live and the adventures we seek. By choosing experiences over possessions, we fill our lives with memories that stick with us far longer than any object ever could. Living fully means embracing new opportunities, laughing often, and connecting with others. In the end, true wealth isn't measured by what we own, but by how much we've truly lived.